guys. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Spotlight. We have a special guest from Mexico City. This is Ali Jamal. Hi, Ali. How are you doing?
I'm great, Cindy. How are you?
Great, great. So you are in your home office right now, right?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Awesome. And also happy long weekend. I heard you guys have a long weekend there in Mexico. Do you have any special upcoming plans?
No, I mean, I'm basically just staying in lockdown, so nothing too cool.
Nothing too crazy, huh?
Nothing at all.
So you guys, Ali has started his fund in 2020, just like VenturX Capital as well. So we have that in common, which is a great time to start investing in case you weren't sure. And because we have more war stories coming out of it, of course, it's much more interesting. And also, what's very unique about Ali and his fund is that Ali also has a full-time job and works on this side hustle, which is growing like crazy because he invests in all different hemispheres around the world, which is insane. So I'm super excited to get to know him a little bit more. And then afterwards, of course, we're going to get to play our game. So Ali, please tell us a little bit about your fund and why you have expanded and how you've expanded so quickly. I mean, you have investments everywhere from Venezuela to Pakistan to Brazil. How did you possibly cover so much ground when other people have a difficult time, even just making dinner when they come home from their full-time jobs? What is your secret and what is your vision for your fund?
Yeah, so we launched the syndicate in July, and it's just been growing like crazy. I think part of the reason why I started the syndicate is I ended up having a lot of extra time on my hands because of COVID, and not really being able to go out and do the normal distractions that you have. And so just really being able to focus on the syndicate itself. And so we've slowly been adding LPs. We're up to about 450 LPs right now in about 4 months. Kind of with all this extra time, was able to do a lot of outreach directly to people, and everybody's also kind of available and not going out or not doing things. So it's been much easier to connect on the LP side. And then even on the investment side, right? Like normally you'd have to do a bunch of face-to-face meetings and all these things just take more time. Whereas right now with Zoom, I can hop on, 10 or 12 different calls a day across all the different time zones, whether it's in Southeast Asia or in Africa or here in LATAM, and be able to have a Zoom meeting and meet interesting founders and start to figure out which ones make the most sense to look at as an investment. And then the beauty of doing it as a syndicate is that I'm not making the decisions on where the money goes, but each individual person in the syndicate gets to decide if they like the deal and how much money they want to put in. So, we have some people that are putting in $40,000 or $50,000 into a deal, and we have a lot of people that are just putting in 1,000 or 2,000, just started to get exposure to it. So I think it's a really great way to get introduced to this emerging asset class of angel investments, and I'm really excited by what this impact could have, not just in terms of reward for the individual person, but also like you said, we're investing in Pakistan, we're investing in Venezuela, we're investing in Mexico and Brazil, and kind of all over the world. And so being able to get those people the access and expertise that we have in the syndicate, I think is extremely powerful.
That is incredible. Yeah. And growing up to, 450 investors is an incredible, feat on its own. So congratulations on that on such a short time too. And, I'm sure that they're sending you really interesting deals from wherever they are in the ground that they're covering. So just for those at home, would you like to walk us through the process a little bit about the vetting? So what is the difference between the vetting process from a regular fund versus a syndicate? And do you guys have any special criteria that is unique to your firm?
Yeah, so it's a fairly standard due diligence process that we go through. Digging into the numbers and the traction the company has, doing some background checks on people that know the founders. One of the things that's nice is because we don't necessarily need to be the lead, we can be, but we don't have to be, which means that we can wait for somebody else to do some of the additional vetting and actually making the diligence requests that we can just ride off those coattails and get access to the same data rooms and everything else that's already been prepared. So I think that's definitely something that makes our lives easier as well as the entrepreneur's life easier. And then I think, what was it? The second question was around.
It was about just what the difference was
Oh,
between the regular angel fund versus a syndicate when it comes to the vetting and analysis process.
yeah. So, I mean, I think in terms of the diligence, it's very similar to what you would see from a normal seed stage fund or early stage fund in terms of the diligence. But, um, you know, basically each individual person is getting to make the decisions on their own. So what happens is we go through and we present the deal memo, which is our thesis for investing. We'll share with all the members of our syndicate the deck that they're sending out to the venture capitalists. All the terms will be laid out, as well as we'll typically have a call with the founders where people can ask whatever questions they have and whatever concerns they might feel. So I think that's a really interesting thing, but that's different, right? Versus investing in the public equity markets. You don't get a chance to call up Tim Cook and ask him your questions. Here, we were every founder, we have the call. People get to ask whatever questions they have. We post it afterwards, so all people who couldn't make the call get a chance to learn and see. And
Great.
then, I think the other thing that you had mentioned was, in terms of specialization, and really, we're trying to help out early stage founders, and so there isn't necessarily a specific focus in that sense, but looking for companies that are growing quickly and where we can add more value, right? So we want to be more than just cash. We want to actually be able to have an impact with these founders in a bigger, broader
Mhm.
sense.
That is a great philosophy, and it's a great goal to have overall too, because then it shows that you're very mission driven, and every single choice that you are making in terms of your investment serves a very special purpose. So that is great. And so being new to the investment scene, I know that you've had a large network for a long time coming, and you're really just kind of putting that together in one spot now, which is fantastic. How do you think it would have been different had you launched your fund in 2019 versus 2020? This is a question I ask myself a lot, so I'm very curious to know personally what you think.
Yeah, so it would have been extremely different. I think one is just access, right? I think it's a lot easier to get access to people these days, and on both sides. And then I think one of the things that, like, I am running, I'm doing my full-time day job as well, and so one of the things that's nice is because we're just meeting on Zoom, right? Like, I'm able to schedule, investor calls or calls with potential founders throughout the day. Whereas if we were back in the office in normal situations, right, you can't really have a call with an investor or a call with potential company in between meetings. Whereas here it's actually super easy. It just means that I end up working longer hours because you still have to get your work done or your day job, but it's been a lot easier to kind of bounce back and forth and really try to get these two things going, and doing them well at the same time.
Wow, that is a great way to look at the glass half full there. Very, very positive. And so, was there any particular advice that you have had from other either principals or founders of other funds or other investors that were veterans who've given you advice this year? Which is something that really stood out for you?
I think the biggest thing that I've just taken away is just, having more belief in yourself and like that you actually can go out and do these things, right? Like, if you had told me 4 or 5 months ago that you would now have a syndicate that was 500 people, I would have thought there was, something that you were crazy, right? But like, if you actually kind of believe in yourself and you're actually able to go out and put the effort in, you can see results and see results very quickly. And there is no secret sauce. There's no magic, recipe or whatever to doing these things. You just have to start. You have to start somewhere and feel confident with that start, and then being able to build off that initial traction.
That's great. And so, of course, being somebody who is running, such a large syndicate and only on a part-time basis, you must be very productive and very, very efficient. So why don't you give us a productivity or an efficiency tip that you use on a regular basis?
So I think one of the big things for me is giving people access. And so it's probably not a productivity tip, but actually the opposite of productivity tip, where
Okay.
I'm giving everybody my email address and my WhatsApp. And so if anybody has any questions, they can reach out like directly to me. So on one hand, it's not necessarily a productivity tip because it does end up being distracting. But on the other hand, it does create a much closer relationship with the founders, with the potential investors. So people will text me questions on every deal, right? And being able to just kind of get that immediate conversation back and forth. Definitely probably isn't a benefit productivity wise, but is a benefit to really getting people involved and really helping to keep the traction and momentum going.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's kind of like you are going against what is traditional, or you're using unorthodox methods that are really working for you, though.
Exactly. And I think, especially with people that are new to angel investing or new to thinking about this as a category, right? That you have a lot of questions and you need somebody who's going to be that Sherpa for you, right? And really try to guide you through it. And so there are no dumb questions, right? There are no like, there's if you have a question, you should ask it, right? You shouldn't be afraid. And so making sure that I put that out there in front of people, I think it has really helped people become more comfortable with angel investing and with joining the platform and started to write their first few checks. And if somebody had done that for me X number of years ago, right, I wouldn't be here today. And so I really want to be able to pass that knowledge on and pass that understanding of how some of these things work, because it just ends up kind of being, you throw a lot of jargon around, they throw a lot of crazy terms around, but trying to make it as simple and easy for people to understand as possible.
Yeah, and I also noticed that your website is done a little bit differently than a lot of other ones that I've seen anyway, where right at the top it actually explains like, this is the process, go and join the syndicate today. And that is something that is not usually right out there in the open, as transparent as it is on your site. So it's very welcoming and engaging and really helps people kind of break or demystify a big part of that wall that we see in this industry a lot. So I do support that. That is very much your stance and very unique to you as well. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, it's I've been lucky to have had a chance to work in the Valley and work with a lot of interesting startups, and so I got a chance to learn these things by actually doing it over the last X number of years. And there's a lot of people out there who don't have that knowledge or don't have that access. So being able to kind of give them as much of that information as possible, I think is really important.
Fantastic. And so thank you so much for taking your time to answer a few of our questions. And now we invite you to play a little game. So I asked you to take out a few pieces of paper. Do you have your pieces of paper with you?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to play truth and lie. So that means you're going to write one thing on one piece of paper that's true about yourself, and one thing that is a lie. It can be anything, personal, professional. It could be about a personal experience, for example. And so then I'm going to try and guess which one is true and which one is false. And I'm going to do the same right now. So I will let you guess first. So the first one is, I wrote and published a book during quarantine. Then the second one is, my book is published only on Amazon. So which one do you think is true and which one do you think is false?
I think that you did write and publish a book and it's available on more than just Amazon.
Okay. So I did this, so that you're correct. I did publish, and it will be available more than just on Amazon. That is absolutely correct. We're in the process of doing this one right now, and this is true, so you are correct. So during the first quarantine, wrote and published a book, and it's called How to Have a Good Day. And yeah, so congratulations on that. It's like you can read my face. Let me see yours.
All right. I'm a member of a trivia team that has won over 150 contests.
Of course, because you have so much more time than any other human.
I'm a member of an all-male a cappella group called Whitney Broston that covers Whitney Houston songs.
Oh my God, I really hope that is true. And that I hope it exists in the world. So let me think. They both could be very true. I would say, I'm hoping you are in the a cappella group.
Not yet.
Oh,
you suck.
So thank you so much for doing this interview. And lastly, we'd love to ask, how can someone get in touch with you if they need be, whether it be as somebody who wants to join your syndicate or a startup?
Yeah, so they can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest. But also you can probably just email me directly. It's ajamal at gmail, ajamal at gmail.com.
Excellent. So we're going to post that as well in the description below. And please share with us either a project or initiative or program that you are very excited about. It could be a recent investment. It could be news about your fund, anything that you would like to share with our audience.
Yeah, so all these investments that we're doing are super exciting. So it's hard to pick just one. But I think the first deal we did was in a startup called Yummy, which is based in Venezuela. And basically the same day all the paperwork for our investment got finalized, they actually got acquired. So we ended up having like our first like exit on the same day, which is probably I think the fastest exit in terms of like investment history from what I've seen.
That is excellent. Congratulations on that. And that must be a huge success to have, 2 celebration parties in a row. So great. That is excellent. Well, you guys, please follow that news as well and leave some comments for Ali in his news feed and of course on his LinkedIn. Send him some congratulation notes. So thank you so much again for joining us, and we hope to have you again soon.
Thanks, Sydney. It was really great to be here.